First contact. The vast emptiness of space stretched out before the UNSS Odyssey, humanity's most advanced deep space exploration vessel. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen. The ship had been traveling for months, pushed to the very edge of human-controlled space by an anomalous signal that defied explanation. Status report, Elena called out, her voice steady despite the tension that had been building over the past few days. Lieutenant Commander Aiden Chen, the ship's science officer, looked up from his console. The signal's getting stronger, Captain. We should be reaching its source within the next hour. Elena nodded, a mix of excitement and apprehension coursing through her. This mission could change everything they knew about the universe, or it could be just another dead end, like so many before. As the Odyssey pushed forward, the crew grew increasingly restless. They had all volunteered for this mission, knowing the risks and potential rewards. But now, on the cusp of discovery, the weight of their responsibility bore down on them. Captain, called out Navigator Sarah Okafor, her voice tinged with awe. You need to see this. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a sight that took Elena's breath away. Floating in the void before them was a massive structure, its surface gleaming with an otherworldly iridescence. It was clearly artificial, its geometry too perfect to be natural, yet it bore no resemblance to any human construction. My God, whispered Elena. What is it? Aiden's fingers flew over his console as he analyzed the incoming data. It's incredible, Captain. The structure appears to be composed of materials we've never encountered before, and the energy readings, they're off the charts. Elena took a deep breath, steadying herself. This was it, first contact. The moment humanity had been preparing for, hoping for, and fearing in equal measure. Open a channel, she ordered. All frequencies. Communications Officer Raj Patel nodded, his hands moving swiftly over his controls. Channel open, Captain. Elena straightened her uniform and stepped forward. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the United Nations Spaceship Odyssey. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship. If you can understand us, please respond. The bridge fell silent as the crew waited, hearts pounding. Seconds stretched into minutes with no response. Maybe they don't use radio waves for communication, Aiden suggested, breaking the tense silence. Just as Elena was about to respond, a blinding light filled the bridge. When it faded, a holographic figure stood before them, tall, slender, with 4 arms and skin that seemed to shimmer with bioluminescence. Greetings, humans, the figure spoke, its voice resonating in their minds rather than their ears. We are the Zarquin. We have been waiting for you. The crew stared in amazement, their training momentarily forgotten in the face of this unprecedented event. Elena was the first to recover. On behalf of humanity, we are honored to meet you, she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. May I ask why you've been waiting for us? The Zarquin's expression was unreadable, but there was a sense of urgency in its mental voice. Your species has reached a crucial juncture in its development. The choices you make in the coming days will determine not only your fate, but that of countless others across the galaxy. A chill ran down Elena's spine. What do you mean? Are we in danger? Not from us, the Zarquin assured them. But there are forces at work in the universe that threaten all sentient life. We have chosen this time to reveal ourselves because we believe humanity may hold the key to facing this threat. Aiden stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overriding his awe. What kind of threat, and why us? The alien's form flickered slightly, as if considering how much to reveal. The threat is ancient and patient. It consumes entire civilizations, growing stronger with each passing millennium. As for why we've chosen humanity, the Zarquin paused, its mental voice taking on a tone of what could only be described as admiration. Your species possesses a unique combination of traits: adaptability, creativity, and an indomitable spirit. These qualities may be crucial in the coming conflict. Elena felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders, She knew that her next words could shape the future of human-alien relations. "We're honored by your faith in us," she said carefully, "but I'm sure you understand that we can't simply take your word for all this. We'll need more information and time to verify what you're telling us." The Zarquin's form pulsed with what might have been approval. "Of course, we expected nothing less. Your caution is wise, Captain Reyes. We invite you and a small team to board our vessel. There we can provide you with the evidence you need and begin discussions on how we might face this threat together." Elena exchanged glances with her senior officers. The opportunity was incredible, but the risks were equally great. After a moment's hesitation, she made her decision. "We accept your invitation," she said. "Please allow us some time to prepare an away team and inform our superiors of the situation." The Zarquin nodded. "Of course. We'll await your signal when you are ready." As the hologram faded, the bridge erupted into a flurry of activity. Elena turned to her crew, her expression serious. "This is what we've trained for," she said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "But make no mistake, we're entering uncharted territory. I need everyone at their best. Aiden, Sarah, Raj, you're with me on the away team. The rest of you, maintain constant communication and be ready for anything." As the crew rushed to prepare, Elena took a moment to stare out at the alien structure. In all her years of space exploration, she had never imagined a moment quite like this. Humanity was about to take its first steps into a larger universe, and she couldn't shake the feeling that nothing would ever be the same again. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of an adventure that would test the very limits of human ingenuity, courage, and determination. As the Odyssey's away team prepared to board the alien vessel, the fate of not just humanity, but the entire galaxy hung in the balance. Cultural exchange. The shuttle bay of the Zarquin vessel was a marvel of alien engineering. Captain Elena Reyes and her away team stepped out of their craft, their eyes wide with wonder. The walls pulsed with an otherworldly energy, and gravity seemed to shift subtly as they moved. Aiden Chen immediately pulled out his tricorder, his scientist's curiosity overriding protocol. "Captain, these readings are incredible. The technology here is centuries beyond ours." "Stay focused, Lieutenant," Elena reminded him gently. "We're here to gather information, but also to represent humanity. Let's not forget our manners." As if on cue, a group of Zarquin appeared before them, their bioluminescent skin casting a soft glow in the cavernous bay. The leader, distinguishable by intricate patterns on its forearms, stepped forward. "Welcome aboard the Nexus," the aliens' thoughts resonated in their minds. "I am Zelvira, lead facilitator of this vessel. We are honored to host Earth's first interstellar ambassadors." Elena stepped forward, bowing slightly. "The honor is ours, facilitator Zelvira. We're grateful for this opportunity to learn from you." As the humans were led deeper into the ship, the cultural differences became increasingly apparent. The Zarquin communicated primarily through a combination of telepathy and bioluminescent patterns, making casual conversation challenging for the humans. In what appeared to be a conference room, holographic displays sprang to life, showing images of distant galaxies and incomprehensible data streams. "What you see before you," Zelvira explained, "is the current state of our galaxy. The red areas indicate zones already consumed by what we call the void." Elena leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "The void? Is this the threat you mentioned earlier?" Zelvira's skin pulsed with what the humans were beginning to recognize as affirmation. Indeed, the void is not a single entity, but a collective consciousness that seeks to absorb all sentient life into itself. It promises unity and peace, but at the cost of individual identity and free will. Raj Patel, the communications officer, spoke up. "But surely other advanced civilizations have fought against this threat. Why haven't we heard anything about this before?" The Zarquin's colors shifted to a somber hue. "Many have tried, Raj Patel. Some have fallen. Others have chosen isolation, hoping to remain unnoticed. We believe this approach is ultimately futile. The void will find all eventually. As the briefing continued, tensions began to rise. The enormity of the threat, coupled with the advanced technologies surrounding them, left the humans feeling overwhelmed and out of their depth. Sarah Okafor, typically the calmest of the group, finally voiced what they were all thinking. With all due respect, Facilitator YS, you're clearly far more advanced. What could we possibly offer in this fight that you don't already have? Zolvira's response was immediate and surprising. Chaos. The humans exchanged confused glances. Elena raised an eyebrow. I'm not sure I understand. Your species thrives on chaos, Captain Reyes, Zolvira explained. Where we see patterns, you see possibilities. Where we plan, you improvise. This unpredictability, this human factor, may be the key to defeating the void. The revelation hung in the air, a mix of pride and disbelief washing over the human team. Their very nature, often seen as a weakness by more advanced civilizations, might be their greatest strength. As the days passed, the cultural exchange deepened. The humans shared stories of Earth's history, its triumphs and failures, its art and music. The Zarquin, in turn, revealed more about their society and the galactic community they were part of. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Misunderstandings arose, cultural taboos were accidentally violated, and frustrations mounted on both sides. The Zarquin's rigid adherence to logic and protocol often clashed with the humans' more emotional and intuitive approach. One particularly tense moment came during a joint training exercise. The simulation, designed to test responses to a void incursion, quickly went off the rails when Aiden suggested a risky maneuver that violated several Zarquin tactical doctrines. It's too dangerous, Zolvira protested, their skin flashing warning colors. The potential for failure is too high. Aiden stood his ground. But if it works, we could save twice as many lives and push the void back further than your original plan. The argument escalated, with both sides becoming increasingly frustrated. It was Elena who finally broke the deadlock. This, she said, her voice cutting through the tension, is exactly why you need us. All eyes and sensory appendages turned to her. Look at what's happening here, Elena continued. We're arguing, yes, but we're also pushing each other to think differently, to consider new possibilities. Isn't that exactly what you said humanity could bring to this fight? A long moment of silence followed. Then, slowly, Zolvira's colors shifted to a pattern the humans had never seen before. It took a moment for the translation to come through. You are correct, Captain Reyes, Zolvira admitted. This discord, it is uncomfortable for us, but perhaps it is necessary. We have grown too set in our ways, too predictable, and predictability is what the void exploits. The admission marked a turning point in the relationship between humans and Zarquin. Both sides began to see the value in their differences, rather than viewing them as obstacles. As the cultural exchange progressed, Elena couldn't help but reflect on the magnitude of what was happening. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, first contact, joining a galactic community. But the reality was far more complex and challenging than anyone had imagined. The weight of responsibility was immense. Every interaction, every decision could have far-reaching consequences not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. And looming over it all was the threat of the void, a danger so vast it was almost incomprehensible. Yet, as Elena watched her team work alongside the Zarquin, she felt a glimmer of hope. Humans and aliens, so different in many ways, finding common ground and learning from each other. If they could do this, perhaps they really did stand a chance against the darkness that threatened to engulf them all. As the first phase of the exchange neared its end, both humans and Zarquin prepared for the next step, bringing their newfound alliance to Earth and facing the reactions of the wider human population. Little did they know that the void was already aware of their activities, and its tendrils were reaching out, ready to test this fledgling partnership in ways none of them could have anticipated. The stage was set for a conflict that would determine the fate of not just humanity, but all sentient life in the galaxy. And at the heart of it all was a group of humans who had never imagined they'd find themselves on the front lines of a cosmic war. "You are correct, Captain Reyes," Zalvira admitted. "This discord, it is uncomfortable for us, but perhaps it is necessary. We have grown too set in our ways, too predictable, and predictability is what the void exploits." The admission marked a turning point in the relationship between humans and Zarquin. Both sides began to see the value in their differences, rather than viewing them as obstacles. As the cultural exchange progressed, Elena couldn't help but reflect on the magnitude of what was happening. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, first contact, joining a galactic community. But the reality was far more complex and challenging than anyone had imagined. The weight of responsibility was immense. Every interaction, every decision could have far-reaching consequences not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. And looming over it all was the threat of the void, a danger so vast it was almost incomprehensible. Yet, as Elena watched her team work alongside the Zarquin, she felt a glimmer of hope. Humans and aliens, so different in many ways, finding common ground and learning from each other. If they could do this, perhaps they really did stand a chance against the darkness that threatened to engulf them all. As the first phase of the exchange neared its end, both humans and Zarquin prepared for the next step, bringing their newfound alliance to Earth and facing the reactions of the wider human population. Little did they know that the void was already aware of their activities, and its tendrils were reaching out, ready to test this fledgling partnership in ways none of them could have anticipated. The stage was set for a conflict that would determine the fate of not just humanity, but all sentient life in the galaxy. And at the heart of it all was a group of humans who had never imagined they'd find themselves on the front lines of a cosmic war. Looming threat. The return to Earth was met with a mixture of awe and fear. As the Zarquin ship entered orbit, global communications lit up with speculation and panic. Captain Elena Reyes found herself thrust into the role of mediator, not just between humans and aliens, but between different factions of her own species. "We need to trust them," Elena argued before the United Nations Security Council. "The threat we face." Her words were cut short as the chamber plunged into darkness. When the lights flickered back on, the holographic form of Zalvira appeared, its bioluminescence pulsing urgently. "We've detected void activity in your solar system," the alien announced, causing a ripple of gasps through the assembly. "A probe has bypassed our outer defenses." As if on cue, reports began flooding in from around the globe. Strange phenomena were occurring, electronics failing, people reporting shared nightmares, and in some cases, entire communities falling silent. "It's happening faster than we anticipated," Aiden said, his face pale as he analyzed the incoming data. "The void isn't just testing us, it's launching a full-scale invasion." Elena felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. Humanity had barely come to terms with the existence of alien life, and now they faced an enemy they could scarcely comprehend. "We need to act now," she declared, looking from the UN representatives to Zalvira. "Not as separate species, but as allies. Earth is the front line, and we're all that stands between the void and the rest of the galaxy." As the gravity of the situation sank in, old rivalries and suspicions began to fade. Human nations that had been at odds for generations now found themselves working together, pooling resources and knowledge with their alien allies. But even as this unprecedented cooperation took shape, the void's influence spread. Cities went dark, strange structures began to appear in remote locations, and reports came in of people simply changing, their individuality subsumed by something other. The stage was set for a battle unlike any humanity had faced before. As Elena looked out at the altered skyline of New York, Zalvira by her side, she knew that the real test was just beginning. The fate of not just Earth, but all sentient life, would be decided in the coming days. And at the heart of it all was a question: could the chaotic, unpredictable nature of humanity, combined with the advanced knowledge of the Zarquin, be enough to turn the tide against an enemy that had consumed entire civilizations? The answer would determine the future of the Galac's unlikely alliance. The Void's assault on Earth intensified, pushing the unlikely alliance of humans and Zarquin to its limits. Captain Elena Reyes found herself coordinating a global defense from the bridge of the UNSS Odyssey, now integrated with Zarquin technology. "We're losing ground in Southeast Asia," Raj reported, his voice strained. "The Void's psychic influence is overwhelming our defenses." Elena turned to Zalvira, whose bioluminescence had dimmed with concern. "Your shielding technology isn't enough. We need a new approach." Aiden, who had been furiously working at his console, looked up with a spark in his eyes. "What if we fight fire with fire? Or in this case, mind with mind?" His proposal was audacious. Use Earth's global communications network, combined with Zarquin telepathic amplifiers, to create a planetary psychic shield. It was untested, dangerous, and their only hope. As the plan was put into motion, humanity's diversity proved to be its strength. Buddhist monks provided meditative techniques to strengthen mental resilience. Silicon Valley tech gurus optimized the network's efficiency. Even children contributed, their imaginations helping to create psychic decoys that confused the Void's probes. The Zarquin, initially skeptical of such a chaotic approach, soon found themselves in awe of human ingenuity. Zalvira, working alongside Elena, began to understand why their species had placed such hope in these unpredictable beings. As the planetary shield flickered to life, the tide of battle began to turn. The Void's advance slowed, then halted. For the first time, the enemy faced an opposition it couldn't simply absorb or overwhelm. But victory remained far from certain. As Elena watched the battle unfold on the Odyssey's viewscreen, she knew that the true test still lay ahead. The Void had been stopped, but not defeated, and somewhere out there, its full strength was gathering, preparing to strike back against this newfound threat to its consumption of the galaxy. The unlikely alliance had proven its worth, but the war was far from over. As human and Zarquin stood side by side, they steeled themselves for the greater challenges that lay ahead, knowing that the fate of all sentient life hung in the balance. Triumph of unity. The respite following the activation of Earth's psychic shield was short-lived. As Captain Elena Reyes and her allies regrouped aboard the UNSS Odyssey, long-range sensors detected a massive disturbance approaching the solar system. "It's unlike anything we've ever seen," Aiden reported, his voice hushed with awe and fear. "The Void, it's gathered its full strength. This isn't just an invasion force, it's the entity itself." Zolvira's bioluminescence pulsed with urgent patterns. "Never in our history has the Void revealed itself so completely. Your species has truly rattled it, Captain Reyes." Elena felt the weight of the moment pressed down upon her. "Then we've got its attention. Now we need to find a way to defeat it once and for all." The combined human Zarquin fleet mobilized, taking up defensive positions around Earth. But as the Void approached, it became clear that conventional tactics would be useless against such an overwhelming force. It was Raj who proposed the audacious plan. "What if," he suggested, his eyes bright with a spark of inspiration, "instead of trying to block the Void out, we invite it in?" The idea was met with stunned silence, then a flurry of objections. But as Rage explained further, a sense of wild hope began to grow. The plan was insane, brilliant, and quintessentially human. They would use the planetary psychic shield not as a barrier, but as a lure. By presenting a united consciousness of humanity and their alien allies, they hoped to draw the Void into a confrontation on their terms. "It's risky," Elena admitted, looking around at her crew and their Zarquin counterparts. "If we fail, we'll be offering up our minds on a silver platter. But if we succeed, we could end the threat to all sentient life in the galaxy," Zalvira finished, its colors shifting in what the humans now recognized as excitement. As the Void entered the solar system, the combined fleet fell back to Earth. The planet's psychic shield transformed, becoming a beacon that pulsed with the collective consciousness of billions of minds, human and alien alike. The effect was immediate. The void, sensing what it perceived as easy prey, surged forward, but as it made contact with the shield, it found not weakness, but a trap. The battle that followed transcended physical reality. In the mindscape created by the planetary shield, the combined will of humanity and their allies confronted the void directly. It was a battle of imagination against consumption, of diversity against uniformity. Human creativity and adaptability melded with Zarquin knowledge and discipline, creating defenses that shifted and evolved faster than the void could absorb them. Across the globe, humans from all walks of life contributed to the fight. Artists crafted psychic landscapes that confused and misled the void's probes. Scientists and engineers conjured up imaginary technologies that became real within the mindscape. Even children played a crucial role, their unrestrained imaginations creating pockets of chaos that the void couldn't penetrate. The Zarquin, witnessing the raw power of human cognition unleashed, finally understood why they had placed their hopes in this young species. Where the void sought to impose a singular order, humanity reveled in infinite possibilities. Aboard the Odyssey, Elena, Aiden, Raj, and Sarah stood linked with Zelvira and other Zarquin, their minds bridging the gap between species and serving as a focal point for the planet's defense. As the battle reached its peak, Elena felt a moment of clarity. The void, for all its power, was ultimately empty. It sought to fill itself by consuming others. But humanity, in all its chaotic glory, was ever creating, ever renewing. With this realization, the tide turned. The void, confronted with a force it couldn't simply absorb or overwhelm, began to fracture. Cracks appeared in its seemingly invincible facade, and through those cracks, the combined will of Earth's defenders poured in. In a final cataclysmic moment, the void's coherence failed. Unable to maintain its form in the face of such unrelenting creativity and will, the entity that had threatened the galaxy for eons simply dissipated. As the psychic shield powered down, Elena opened her eyes to see her crew, human and Zarquin alike, looking at each other in stunned disbelief. Slowly, reports began to come in from around the world and across the solar system. The void was gone. They had won. The celebrations that followed were unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Humans and aliens embraced in the streets, united by their shared victory. But even as the jubilation swept the globe, Elena and her allies knew that this was just the beginning. In defeating the void, humanity had proven itself on a galactic stage. The Zarquin, once hesitant allies, now looked to Earth with newfound respect and excitement. The galaxy, it seemed, was opening up to them in ways they had never imagined. As Elena stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, looking out at the stars that now seemed full of promise rather than threat, she felt a sense of profound change. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. So, Aiden asked, a grin spreading across his face, "Where do we go from here, Captain?" Elena shared a look with Zelvira, seeing her own excitement mirrored in the aliens' bioluminescent patterns. "Everywhere," she replied, her voice filled with wonder and determination. "We go everywhere." As the Odyssey prepared to embark on its next mission, now part of a joint human-Zarquin expedition, Elena knew that the true adventure was just beginning. Humanity had found its place among the stars, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might hold, armed with their greatest strengths, their creativity, their adaptability, and their indomitable spirit. The galaxy would never be the same again.